I'm Alessandra Barrett, Senior Content Editor for JOC, and I'm at our Inland Distribution Conference in Memphis, joined by Chris Logan, Senior Director of Trade Development for Georgia Ports Authority. Thanks for speaking with me today, Chris.
Thank you very much for having me.
How's the face of distribution changing with more and more e-commerce? What impact is that having?
Well, we have certainly seen an increase in e-commerce activity through the Georgia Port Authority. Most of the traditional retailers that have been long-standing clients of the Georgia Port Authority certainly all now have e-commerce channels. Some are close near port, some are closer to the Atlanta area near the population centers. But we've also had a lot of recent activity with the more what I would consider proprietary or direct online retailers. So Amazon, a lot of companies that are fulfilling for all the major retailers, as well as Amazon now are utilizing the Port of Savannah. So we've certainly seen an uptick in volume. It's hard to quantify what that volume is, but certainly it's been a positive move.
What are you hearing from BCOs? What are they asking for? What are their problems these days?
I think that a lot of BCOs are really challenged with the whole lack of reliability, schedule integrity, and that's not necessarily just because of ocean transit. It's because of all the factors that go in that really highlight how fragile the supply chain really is these days. Weather, environmental issues, labor, infrastructure, all go into play, and I think certainly retailers, importers, and exporters are all looking at that and searching for channels that provide them more reliability so they can plan to that versus the lack of reliability and variability that kind of goes on in today's environment.
You had a phenomenal year and benefited greatly from the diversions with what was going on the West Coast. How much of that are you keeping?
Well, that's a very good question. Ask us next spring and we should be able to tell you, but it's certainly a lot of volume. We just finished our fiscal year and we did over 530,000 TUs more in this past fiscal year than we did the preceding. So it's hard to quantify what that volume is. We think a good portion will stay, but certainly as customers look for ways to mitigate risk and diversify their supply chains, that's always kind of been the recipe for Savannah, where Savannah's really provided that level of reliability and diversification to retailers. So that's been a big component of our growth. We think it'll certainly be that way this year as well.
When the Panama Canal opens, overnight ships twice the size will be coming through. What are your expectations for the cargo volumes you'll see?
Probably for the last 8 years, at least in Savannah, we've been living in a post-Panama Canal expansion era. I mean, the largest ships calling the East Coast today are coming to Savannah. They just come via the Suez Canal. So we're prepared for that. We've had a very disciplined record of investment in the facilities. So we built the capacity to handle the increased scale of ship. And really, quite frankly, our Garden City terminal, single terminal design, 9 berths, really plays to the big ship environment. So we're certainly prepared and excited about the Panama Canal because traditionally, Savannah's been that first port of call inbound via the Panama Canal. So we think there'll certainly be some significant benefits to Savannah because of the expansion.
Do you have any sense number-wise of what that might look like?
I don't, but this thought of it is that certainly as carriers and importers look to, carriers increase capacity, importers and exporters look to mitigate risk, that's certainly that dividing line that's been somewhere in that Tennessee area will certainly get pushed back further west. So we expect some positive growth because of the Panama expansion, just not quite sure how much that'll be.
Do you think it'll bring about any other diversions?
I think certainly permanent routing changes are certainly being contemplated today. We've had a lot of visitors into Savannah trying to understand exactly what the East Coast is going to look like post-Panama Canal expansion. So certainly I think that it will change behavior. It'll provide more reliability, diversification, risk mitigation. So we're excited about the Panama Canal. We've been cheering for them to hurry up with their expansion.
I think everyone is.
We certainly are.
Well, thanks for taking time from the conference to sit down with me for a few minutes.
Thank you very much for having me.
I've been speaking with Chris Logan, Senior Director of Trade Development for Georgia Ports Authority.